Hello, this is Eden from HelixxVR. Today I'll be reviewing Iron Man VR, an action shooter where you fly around taking down drones and experience a story. It's exclusive to the PSVR. The gameplay of Iron Man VR is split into two parts, which are called locations and combat. In the locations portion of the game, you navigate around a number of places from the Iron Man and Marvel world. These are most often places that Iron Man owns, his Malibu home notably. Also includes places such as the SHIELD helicarrier. In these sections, you can teleport around between nodes, talk with characters including Pepper and Denai, and interact with the environment. There are cutscenes too, which is where the story is mostly told. Interacting with characters is done well. There's a fair bit of dialogue, and the model movement matches it well. The voice actors definitely did a good job too, though I imagine some may be put off slightly just because they're somewhat similar, but not the same voices from the movies. The environment was actually surprisingly good. It was a bit of a pity that you're limited to teleporting between nodes, but in exchange, they've added in quite a bit of detail to the places you can go. You can interact with quite a few objects and get dialogue, whether that's just a few extra lines of flavour or some relevant extra information. This extends to even fairly minor points like being able to pick and eat individual grapes, where in many games it'd just be a non-interactive background piece. One nice extra was a basketball minigame in the main base of operations. It fits the character to have one too. While it's good to explore locations, most of the time you'll spend in combat. You get to put on the Iron Man armour and fly around shooting down drones. Flying can be a bit difficult. I wouldn't say that it's intuitive, but it's certainly possible to get used to. Most of the time you don't really need to be too accurate about where you're going. There's a lot of flying about in wide open spaces, and only really a few parts where you need to be precise. These are time trials mostly. Flying is done as you'd probably imagine if you've seen Iron Man before, arms by your side and the propulsion coming from your hands. There is a button to trigger a hover, so you don't need to do this constantly to stay still at least. I did experience some loss of tracking while flying about, probably just due to hands not being directly in front of the camera, and slight turning being enough to obscure the view. Not too much though. As for the shooting down drones, it's certainly fun. You can use either both arms to shoot while still, or use one to move about and the other to shoot. I usually just opened fire full blast, and didn't get hit too much in return. As you go through the game, you can earn research points to unlock new weapons and other gear to affect your speed, recovery and such. For the weapons, this lets you choose two weapons, a main weapon and a heavier one for longer refresh time. It was a bit awkward to switch between these at times. The way it's done is angling your hands up and down. Perhaps this was done because of the limited buttons on the PS Move controller. It's another one which you can get used to, but it isn't totally intuitive. You also have some punching moves too. You can charge your fists, and then do a boosted punch towards an enemy to send them flying. You can even do this towards the ground to smash tanks. Personally, I ended up just using the main weapons for the majority of the time, with a few punches and occasional use of the heavier weapons thrown in. Some enemies had a particularly effective way to attack them, but most were fine just to shoot at. There's another way to attack too, which I'll leave you to discover as it comes later in the game. Gameplay is extended by being able to replay levels to do time trials and such. Replaying it can increase the amount of research points you get, but I found I had enough unlocked for what I needed fairly easily. There are extra challenges with skin unlocks too. Graphically, the game was quite impressive for a PSVR game. I felt like the sound was well done, and the voice acting was great throughout as mentioned before. This game takes about 8 hours to finish, at the price of approximately $40, €40 or £35, and with the quality, I would suggest that it's worth the cost. To sum up, Iron Man VR does have a few issues, but it's a fun and overall very high quality game. You are a bit limited in what you can do, but there's plenty of content and you can replay parts. If you've got a PSVR, I recommend playing it. Once again, this was Eden from HelixxVR. If you'd like to see more content like this, please remember to like, subscribe, and if you really liked it, hit that alert button too.